When you're standing in front of a camera that promises medium format quality in a body you can actually carry, the first question that pops into most people's heads is, will this actually fit into my workflow, or am I just buying a fancy brag card? That hesitation makes sense. Medium format used to mean a studio-only beast, and the price tags were enough to keep most of us from even looking. I'm going to walk through the real-world experience of the Fujifilm GFX 100S, point out where it shines, where it trips, and help you decide if it's a genuine upgrade for you or just another high-resolution toy. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest thing people worry about is size. The GFX 100S is marketed as small, but steady, and that's not just a tagline. Compared with the original GFX 100, the chassis is noticeably slimmer and lighter, making it possible to shoot handheld for a decent stretch of time. In my day-to-day, that translates to being able to walk through a city market with a 50mm lens, pause, and capture a portrait that still carries that medium format depth of field without a tripod. The built-in 5-axis image stabilization really does smooth out the jitter you'd expect from a 102-megapixel sensor, so you can handhold at slower shutter speeds. Think 130s on a sunny day without the image turning into a blur. That stability is a practical win for anyone who does a lot of street or travel work but still wants that large format look. Resolution is the other elephant in the room. A 102-megapixel sensor is massive, and it gives you a level of detail that lets you pull a 12-inch print out of a single shot with barely a hint of grain. For studio portrait photographers, that means you can crop tighter on a client's face while still delivering razor-sharp files, and for landscape shooters it means you can recompose after the fact and still retain fidelity. The trade-off, however, is file size. A raw image from the GFX 100S easily tops 150 megabytes, so you'll need a robust storage solution and a computer that can handle those numbers without choking. I found that my editing workflow slowed down on a laptop that was fine with 30-megapixel files, so if you're not already using an external SSD or a workstation, you'll have to plan for that upgrade. Now, let's talk about autofocus. Fujifilm calls it the sharp end of AF technology, and it does feel different from what you get on their X-series mirrorless line. The AF system uses phase detect points that cover a broad area of the frame, which makes tracking moving subjects smoother than you'd expect from a medium format. In a recent outdoor wedding shoot, the camera kept up with a bride moving down a staircase, staying tack-sharp even as the lighting shifted. That said, the AF speed isn't quite on par with the very latest full-frame models that prioritize high frame rate sports shooting. If you spend most of your time shooting fast action, think wildlife or high-speed sports, you might find the GFX 100S a step behind in terms of lock-in speed and continuous shooting rate. Lens ecosystem is another practical consideration. The GFX mount has a growing line of lenses, but there's still a niche market, and each lens carries a premium price. A 45mm portrait lens, for example, can easily cost as much as a full-frame body. This means that the initial investment isn't just the camera, you need to budget for lenses that truly unlock the system's potential. If you already own Fujifilm X lenses, you can use an adapter, but you'll lose some of the native optical performance that medium format lenses are designed to deliver. So the value proposition really leans toward photographers who either already have a medium format lens collection or are ready to invest in one. Battery life is often overlooked in high-resolution cameras, but the GFX 100S uses a larger capacity battery than its predecessor, giving you roughly 400 shots per charge under normal conditions. For a day-long shoot with a couple of lenses swapped out, that's comfortable, though you'll still want a spare if you're working in cold weather or plan to shoot video for extended periods. Speaking of video, the camera does support 4K recording at 30 frames per second, which is decent, but it isn't the main reason most people pick up a medium format system. If video is a big part of your business, you might find other bodies more tailored to that workflow. So who should actually consider adding the GFX 100S to their bag? If you're a professional portrait or fine art photographer who needs that extra detail to differentiate your work, the resolution and tonal rendition are compelling. The camera's color science leans toward Fujifilm's iconic film simulations, which means you can get that classic look straight out of the camera without heavy post-processing. Landscape photographers who love to print large formats will also benefit from the sensor's dynamic range and the ability to pull back details in post. And if you already own a few GFX lenses, this body gives you a more portable platform without sacrificing the image quality you paid for. On